What's going on, my fellow residents? This intro will serve as a bit of an update, but I have set up a Patreon that you can use, and not only that, but I also have YouTube memberships available as well, and with either of those, you can pay a monthly subscription to get special benefits from me. Both of these have the same tiers, money amount, and rewards, which for the most part is getting to watch my upcoming videos sooner than when they release on YouTube, but you'll also get your name in the outro section of the video. So if any of you want to contribute to either of those, you can, but with that out of the way, onto the video. Ice Age Continental Drift, the fourth movie in the series, which tackled the group having to face the separation of the giant Pangea landmass, which then creates the continents we know today. Oh, and there's pirates too. I think people started to feel like the Ice Age franchise had begun to run its course with Dawn of the Dinosaurs, and general opinions of the movie just got lower and lower ever since. And Continental Drift is definitely the main target point for where people stop caring. Personally, it's not bad, but it definitely feels different compared to the previous three movies. That's still not good though, considering Continental Drift released during the 10-year anniversary for the series. Speaking of anniversaries, I am now reviewing the game for that movie during the 20-year anniversary of the franchise, a year after Blue Sky Studios closed. Ice Age as a franchise is just kinda sad the further you go on. Now, Ice Age hadn't escaped the whole license-based games alongside the movie thing at this point, and somehow still didn't in 2018. Don't worry, I'll get to that game at some point. But for now, there's a game for Continental Drift. And with the track record of the previous games, it can't be that bad, right? Okay, but it's not like it happened twice. I'm gonna start looking at Ice Age Continental Drift Arctic games before I dig myself into any deeper of a hole. Also, if you end up enjoying the video, make sure you like and subscribe, especially since 70% of you aren't subbed to the channel currently. It really helps out. Our gang is just walking around before Sid accidentally falls off a cliff, getting knocked around like a pinball in the process. Once he stopped rolling around, he discovers treasure, which is a giant basket of fruit. Yeah, I know, they call fruit treasure, it's kinda weird. Moving on. Captain Gut's crew also discovers this treasure at the same time, and begins to have a dispute over it. Captain Gut suggests that they have a round of Arctic games, an old pirate competition. Manny points out that the pirates would have an advantage at a pirate competition, so he wants something more fair. Captain Gut sees Manny's point, and then proceeds to show him his point, and Manny becomes a lot more agreeable. Now from here on out, the story is different depending on which team wins an event. I'd actually say that that's pretty nice, but half of the cutscenes aren't any different, including the beginning and ending scenes. You're really telling me that we couldn't see the pirate crew's perspective on how they ended up at the treasure? Even if it would be slightly different, it's still better than nothing. And the ending scene is basically both sides just walking away once one side has the treasure. There could have been some uniqueness between both sides, maybe discussion of strategy, a few jokes here and there, something. But no, the only scenes that are different are for whichever team wins a minigame. My biggest complaint about the story though is that it can't be placed at any possible point in the movie's timeline, because everything contradicts something else somehow. You might assume that this game takes place at the beginning of the movie so that there would be enough Arctic land to even reliably have the Arctic games. However, at the beginning of the game, everyone already knows about the pirates.
More like hiding from behind Manny's leg in case any pirates decide to show up.
I don't see any pirates, Sid.
But the only time everyone, including Ellie and Peaches, who were separated from the others for most of the movie, knew about the pirates was near the end of the movie, after the landmass already split. So let's say it takes place at the end of the movie. In that case, the gang was in a tropical area, Captain Gut is literally dead at this point, and Diego and Shira's relationship would have already bloomed, which in the game, it has not. So, let's say it takes place in the middle of the movie, which is where Diego and Shira's relationship starts, but they do separate so that Shira's back with Captain Gut, who would be alive at this point, similar to the game. Ellie and Peaches are only with the group at not this point in time in the movie, so the game can only take place at the beginning or the end of the movie, but I just explained why it can't be either of those. Am I overthinking this? Yes. Is it frustrating all the same? Yes. I had to watch the whole movie before playing this game only for it to hardly matter. I played the Wii version of this game, so it wouldn't be fair for me to compare the graphics to Dawn of the Dinosaurs where I played the PS3 version. So when comparing this to the Meltdown game, it does look better, at least character-wise. Environment-wise, I'd say it's about even, but the Meltdown game might be a little bit better in that aspect. Needless to say, the PS3, Xbox 360, and PC versions are better looking overall, but unfortunately we're here with the Wii version. As far as the voice acting goes, surprisingly the characters whose voice actors aren't the same are Shira's, originally done by Jennifer Lopez, and in place of Jennifer Lopez is Anna Graves, who voiced Naoto Shirogane, and Manny's. Keith Ferguson does a good job, but it's really concerning that this is the only time that Manny hasn't had his original voice actor for a game. And somehow Queen Latifah, Keke Palmer, Wanda Sykes, and Peter Dinklage still had their roles. I almost think they could have gotten Drake too if his character was in the game. For minigames there is a tutorial voice, and that voice is a member of either Team Herd or Team Crew depending on the team you play as. And the voice acting isn't bad, but this game is one of those cases where characters do not shut up during minigames. They will just keep talking, and it's very annoying.
Come on, Gipster! Pop your 20 arms!
Beat it up around!
Come on, Gipster! Pop your 20 arms!
The music is okay, which is kind of bad considering that for every other Ice Age video I've given great praise for the music, but after Ice Age 2 and 3's OSTs, can you blame me for my expectations? It's at least better than the first game's soundtrack, but I think the problem is that since the music is designed for minigames, they're only a minute long at best, which is about the same length as the first game's songs. So unfortunately you won't have a lot of those longer songs that the Ice Age games are kind of known for. However, I will point out that each minigame does have its own song, and there are two different versions of each song that plays depending on the team that is currently on screen, with the crew version fitting more for a group of pirates, and the herd version being more similar to the music from the older games. That honestly didn't need to happen, but I'm glad for it. Sadly, the OST overall is still not as good as 2 or 3's. Before doing anything, you have to choose between playing as Team Herd or Team Crew. Once you do that, you have a few game modes that you can play. In the story and tournament modes, you'll play as your selected team across 10 minigames back to back. Bobsledding has Manny and Captain Guts slide down an ice cave to smash themselves into ice stalagmites to gain points. They can also speed themselves up, and if they crash into their team's ice walls while doing so, their point multiplier increases as long as they stay in that sped up position. In glacier hopping, Diego and Shira jump across sheets of ice and dodge obstacles in a race to get to the end. Whoever has the shorter time after their run wins. For coconut slingshot, Peaches and Raz sling coconuts at targets, with them being worth more points the further out they are. Sid and Squint attempt a style jump, where after gaining a ton of speed and jumping off a ramp, they do tricks until they land. They do tricks via the on-screen inputs until they land. Mountain Drift is for Granny and Gupta. Here they try to go down a snow hill as fast as possible while skiing through these stick gates. If they don't go through the gates, then more seconds are added to their total time. Scrat takes place in the Arctic Games with Prehistoric Plumber. Scrat has to scurry along the ice wall, plugging up the holes with water shooting out. Very reminiscent of Ice Age 2. Whoever is able to hold out longer before this bar on the right fills up, wins. Shell Slide, done by Sid and Squint, is basically just curling. I'm not going to go into much detail about that, I'm going to assume you know how curling works. Scrat Cannon, on the other hand, is different. Ellie and Raz catapult Scrat over an ice field. Scrat is to then bounce along the targets to get points, with the smaller ones being worth more. Ice Smash is similar to glacier hopping, but it's more vertical than horizontal. Diego and Shira have to slam down on sheets of cracked ice to reach the bottom as soon as possible. The final minigame is Slip Slide, performed by Ellie and Captain Gut. Here they are to get to the bottom as fast as possible, and there are speed paths that will get them there faster. Somehow. This is like the one really weird thing that makes absolutely no sense for existing. Each minigame also has acorns that you can collect, which add to the end score of each minigame in some way. Whoever wins the minigame, whether it be for time or points, gets 5 points for their team, while the loser gets 2 points. Free play also lets you choose between any of the minigames at any time. The minigames are thankfully pretty varied in what you do for them for the most part. Though two of them are similar, none of them feel like they are complete duplicates of other minigames. The minigames did need heavy attention put towards them, considering that there's only 10 of them. There also is a point in collecting the acorns during the minigames, since they help increase your score or decrease your time, and they can be extremely beneficial to get as they aid in your potential success, even so much as deciding who wins the minigame at times. It's actually really surprising how much I like the acorn system. That said, the amount of content is laughably small at best. I played the story mode twice for the exclusive win cutscenes on both teams, and that doesn't even last 2 hours. The story mode lasts 30 minutes. But you know what? As long as there's enough extra content aside from that to make up for it, it's fine. It's fine. It is fine. It is not fine at all. There is almost nothing to persuade you to keep playing this game after that. None of the other game modes are any different. Heck, the tournament mode still plays the ending story cutscene after you get through it, which is pretty much useless considering you don't have the full context of that scene without the other cutscenes prior, but at that point, you should just play the story mode, which chances are you did before playing the tournament mode. There is absolutely nothing that spices up the gameplay. I did say that the minigames are varied, but that does not keep them from being boring. The layouts for most of the minigames are the exact same every time you play them. You'll have the exact same cycles each time you go through them. There's no hard mode that makes the points for the enemy higher. There's no special challenges for doing minigames under certain conditions. There's no extras to unlock like concept art or interviews, which would give some form of incentive to go for gold medals, since the only reason you try to do that is for bragging rights. I'm gonna be brutally truthful. If this game is where you want bragging rights, please touch grass. The hitboxes for some minigames feel weird. The minigames in particular are Mountain Drift and Ice Smash. For Mountain Drift, it feels like sometimes the penalty should count when it doesn't, and does count when it shouldn't. Like, there is no way you can look at this clip that I have and tell me that this is correct. In Ice Smash, you have to smash the ice surprisingly more precise than you'd think. The area for actually triggering the breaking of the ice could have just been a little bit larger, and even though the multiplayer goes up to 2 people, you don't play your minigames at the same time. The minigames have player 1 and then player 2 go. In place of this could have been some form of split screen to help give more of a competitive drive to the minigames, but at the same time, you'll only need 2 AA batteries to do multiplayer instead of 4, I guess. So at least this saves you money. Unfortunately, you still ended up buying the game, so... This is the only Ice Age game so far that is a complete waste of time, and that is including the first game. There's so little content that the only thing you really do is waste the energy of your AA batteries that could be spent doing a multitude of better things. You want to play a winter-based minigame compilation with Wii motion controls? Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games is right there. And if you want a story mode with it, you've got the DS version. And they both came out 3 years before this game, so chances are you already had one of these. On top of that, another Mario and Sonic Olympic game came out the same year this game did, and then another winter one released 2 years after that. And that's just with that one series. I'm 1000% certain that there are plenty of other games that are similar to this, and are significantly better. I'm lucky to not have played the Xbox version, which requires a Kinect to play it, and we all remember how much of a train wreck that peripheral was. The minigames would fit better as part of the multiplayer minigames from the Dawn of the Dinosaur game, not as its own separate game. The lack of replayability makes a game like this an immediate throwaway. You play it for 30 minutes, and then you're done with it. Really, this one quote of a review on the game's Wikipedia page about the Wii version says everything. Honestly, if you buy this game, you are harming the industry. A truly horrible title. They put it a bit more brutally than I did, but I'm not gonna disagree with them. What's going on, my fellow residents? It's me, TheFrozenCavern, and thank you guys for making it to the end of this video. As I said at the beginning of the video, my Patreon and memberships, so again, if you are able and willing to put money towards those so that you can see videos sooner, as well as have your name in the outro of the video, then make sure to have a look at those. But as for this game, boy, I feel like this is going to be the worst game out of all of them. Which I'll know soon enough because there's only one other Ice Age game that I have to play, and hopefully it's not going to be in comparison to Madagascar 3. But at least with Madagascar, I do still have the Penguins games that I can play, but with this, it's just one other game, and then that's it. But tell me your thoughts about the Ice Age Continental Drift movie, and if you have not already, make sure you go down to the description below because that's where all of my social medias are located. My Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Discord are all in the description, and they are always for you to know whenever I have another upload or an update for the channel. The Patreon and membership links are also down there as well. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more, as well as share this video out with your friends and family. But until the next video, take care.